folks, back in the guided practice. We are now looking at numbers 9 and 10 down at the bottom. Now, just looking at these, there's no way of telling if it's going to be a fun factoring problem or if we're going to have to do the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and start number 9. So for number 9, we've got a quadratic for the first one. Quadratic y value equals stuff. And then we got the linear y value equals stuff. So normally I try to take the linear functions equals stuff and plug it in for y in the quadratic. So 2x minus 2 equals x squared minus 6. So what do you think? Should we move everybody over to the right or everybody over to the left?
Right.
The right. Why?
To the right.
To get the a value positive.
We want that a value to stay positive. So currently we have a positive x squared. So we want to keep it that way. So let's go ahead and move this stuff over there. I'm going to stack it under the x since I'm going to combine those like terms. Move this guy over here. Stack it under the constant. Goodbye. Goodbye. And there's our 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 4. And now we say a little prayer that we can factor this. We're looking for a product of negative 4 and a sum of negative 3. Can we do it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness. Now, remember, you can use the quadratic form wherever you like. It should always work, but we know from the last unit that simplifying with it can be quite a pain. So, we can factor it. Negative 4, positive 1. So then setting each of those factors equal to 0. You get x equals positive 4, and x equals negative 1. Are we done? No, we're not. What do we need to find? Those y values. So I'm going to take those x values and which equation would you like to plug into? 2. Now again, folks, it's not wrong to plug into the first equation. It's just more work. So we're lazy math people. We always want to do the easiest thing possible. Smallest numbers, less calculator work. So let's go ahead and plug into the first one. So y equals 2 times 4. Minus 2. And then y equals 2 times negative 1 minus 2. So plugging in those two x values into that second equation. Y equals, let's see, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 2 is 6. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So my two solutions written as coordinates 4, 6 and negative 1, negative 4. Any questions on that one? All right, folks, go ahead and put a box around those. And let's start this one. So quadratic for the first equation. Linear for the second equation. Y equals stuff. Take that stuff and plug it in for y in the first equation. X minus 2. Everybody over to the right or everybody over to the left?
To the right.
To the right. Our x squared is positive. Let's keep it that way. So minus x is x plus 2 plus 2. Goodbye, goodbye. And 0 equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. We try to factor it. Product of 4, sum of 2. Is it going to work?
No.
Nope, no way of getting that to work. So it's prime, so quadratic formula time. So quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Two squared is 4, and then negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. So that's going to give us negative 12 under the radical. Now the fun part of simplifying. What do we do first? Division, distribution, or simplify the radical? Simplify the radical. We've got a negative, so that's automatically going to come out as an I. Are there any perfect squares I can divide out of 12?
4.
4, wonderful. So 4 is the biggest perfect square I can divide out. 3 is what's left over. So then we get negative 2 plus or minus. Square root of 4 is 2. So 2i square root of 3 all over 2. Now we get to do division distribution. And x equals negative 1 plus or minus I rad 3. Now, here is what we are going to do. We are going to state no real solutions. And I just want you to be able to show me how to simplify with the quadratic formula. So on the homework, you don't have to get the y values. So don't have to find y's on homework or test. Just wanted to show you that you could do that in the notes, but I'm not going to make you do it on the homework or the test. Sound good? Sounds great. All right, folks. Do we have any questions so far? Or are we starting to pick up on some of the patterns? Let's turn the page. I want you to get as far as you can on number 11 in 2 minutes. I'm actually going to set a timer for this because I really want you to try for the full 2 minutes. All right, folks, there was the timer. Let's see how we're doing on this problem. So we've got a linear equation. And we need to put that in slope-intercept form or just y equals form. So there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to actually add the y over to the other side to make it positive. And then I'm going to subtract the 7 to move it to the other side. So adding y removes it from that side so that we have x minus 7. And then subtracting 7 from this side, goodbye 7, and we're left with the y. So y equals x minus 7. So y equals this stuff. We're going to take that stuff. We're going to plug it in for y in that second equation. So x squared minus the stuff we're putting in for y, x minus 7, equals 7. I have intentionally made a mistake here. Does anyone see what it is?
You need to put in the things.
We have to put in parentheses. When I'm subtracting this y value, I have to subtract everything that I'm putting in for that y value. So those parentheses are necessary. So we distribute that negative. So x squared minus x. And if I subtract a negative 7, it turns into a positive 7. Equals 7. Now, we want to keep our a value positive, the x squared term. So I'm going to move this 7 over to this side, and oh, it's just gone. So x squared minus x equals 0. Usually in the first month of school, something like this shows up with my pre-calc kids, and they look at it and they go, huh? How am I supposed to factor something like this? There's like no numbers. There's no C value. Folks, what is the first thing we check for when we're factoring? A greatest common factor, and it's like, wait, but there's no numbers. We have to check for the variables as well. What can I take out of both of those? An x. And when I take out an x, we are left with an x and what? A minus 1. Sometimes students will think that we're left with nothing there or a 0, but remember, folks, factoring doesn't change the value of the expression. If I were to distribute that x back in, we would get x squared and negative 1x. So that's a really tricky one to factor. From here, we set each of those factors equal to 0. So either x is 1 or x is 0. So those are my two x values. Now I'm going to plug them in up here to find my y values. So 0 minus 7 equals y. And then 1 minus 7 equals y. So y equals negative 7 and y equals negative 6. My solutions are 0, negative 7, and 1, negative 6. All right, folks, where are we at with this process? That one was a tough one. Number 12, I am confident that you guys can do on your own. Good luck. fussy. Kind of some bigger, scarier numbers on this one. This is what your final solution should look like. So tricky part about this one was we did need to move the x squared over to the other side to make it positive. Maybe you were a little bit nervous about looking for a product of negative 54. Remember, you can always just start dividing 54 by integers until you find the right pair. Folks, that concludes this unit. So tomorrow will be a review day for us. We'll have a short review assignment. Test will be on Friday. I think I forgot to mention to this class yesterday, so I do have a meeting tomorrow morning. So if you plan on doing the retake itself, please send me an email so I know which test to bring to Miss Yassi's room so you can come and find me. The other thing is I'm not going to require the test corrections this time just because it is a limited amount of time. So test corrections are off the table. So the review assignment will not take us the whole class time tomorrow. Normally I do not use class time to do retakes, but since the review is going to be so short, if you wanted to try to do something during class tomorrow, we can coordinate something then.
It's page 3 due tonight.
Yep, page 2 and 3 are due tonight. So, yes. No.